Today we're going to be talking about our honest thoughts on living in the Raleigh area. We're going to be talking about a couple things that we really love about it and a couple things we really hate. And no, this isn't a trick, double negative things we hate. It's actually things that we actually think are things we dislike or things that we think other people might dislike about living here. So stick around.
All right, so we're gonna start with the things that we dislike about Raleigh, and then we're gonna move to the things that we love about Raleigh. So the first thing that we dislike about Raleigh, I feel like Raleigh doesn't really have like an it or like an identity, so to speak. And what I mean by that, so you go to some other major cities in the country, and I'll just name just some random ones, but you think of like Charleston, South Carolina, and you think of water access or the beach, or you think of Nashville and you think of like being able to take advantage of the music scene, or you think of Orlando and you think of all the theme parks and amusement parks and entertainment. And Raleigh doesn't really have.
Yeah, we're just the city of oaks.
We're just
about a tree.
Yeah,
which is a fair description. There's definitely a lot of green space and trees there, and I feel like that kind of goes into we are a big city, but we're not a tourist destination.
Yeah,
you know?
And so sometimes I feel like it can feel kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I'm hesitant to use that word because I'm a boring person in general. I don't like doing things.
If Zach lived in any of those three cities we mentioned, he would never go.
I would never do any of it.
Any of the
but
things.
Like, and so to me, it's kind of a draw in a sense. But I feel like for some folks, it's just something to know about the area. There are a ton of things to do, but I don't feel like Raleigh has that like identity or like it factor about it that you find in maybe some other cities in the country.
Right. So, yeah, for sure. It's definitely not a place where you're like, I want to go do my bachelorette weekend in Raleigh. Like, that's kind of weird, you know? Like, maybe if you live here already. And there's plenty of bars and cool restaurants, and there's minor league baseball in Durham. There's the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh. So there's not that there's nothing to do. It's not like we're in the middle of nowhere and there's no access to any kind of entertainment. That's not what we mean by that. I think we just mean, there's not like that one big thing that you really think of when you think of Raleigh. It's just a really great place to live a normal life, a normal peaceful life, like where you want to go and have your family. It's not really where you want to go and travel and be a tourist.
Exactly.
So the second thing we dislike is how spread out the whole triangle is. This whole thing is lumped into a region called the Triangle, but you have your major cities, Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, but you've also got places like Wendell or Clayton or Mebane and Hillsborough, Carrboro, like all of these towns, and they're all kind of lumped into this one region, and I think people don't realize how far apart things are. Kind of like how large this awkward couch is that we're sitting on.
I can't take you seriously talking on this couch. But what Cindy is saying is true, and that is one thing we dislike about this area is, obviously you have most of what you need in a place like Raleigh, but if you needed to go to a Cary or an Apex or Wake Forest or wherever it is, folks don't realize until they get here how spread out it is. And obviously you can take advantage of what some of those areas have to offer, but it's not always gonna be a really short drive. And so it does get sometimes pretty annoying at just how spread out this region is.
Right, and maybe we're just a little biased because for work we are always constantly all over the place. So for the average person that lives in Raleigh, they're probably not going into other parts of the triangle.
That's a fair point.
But to kind of like piggyback off that topic, this is not a place that you're going to live without a car or be a one-car family. You're going to use your car for absolutely everything. There's a little bit of livability in downtown places, and it's going to be more apartment life or things like that if you want to be able to access things like downtown. Condos or apartments, but there's not like you're not going to have like a single family home and walk to the grocery store at most places, unless you're in one of these newer master plan developments like Wendell Falls, where they're putting commercial intentionally kind of inside of the neighborhood. Even those neighborhoods are so large, it would be hard to really carry your groceries back.
It's still not even the norm, honestly.
It's still not the norm. So it's definitely spread out, very suburban life.
And I guess you could and you kind of touched on this, but spread out and lack of walkability is what I would kind of lump into con number 2 or dislike number 2.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're done with the things we dislike about Raleigh. We're going to move into the things that we love about Raleigh. So the first one I would say is it is a great place to raise a family. So, and this kind of you know, when we talk about how the dislike is Raleigh is kind of boring, like the flip side of that is it's a peaceful place to raise a family. Like there's enough to do here, you know, for kids and entertain your kids and resources, and it's a great place for families.
For sure. And what kind of ties into that stuff, like Zach mentioned, resources, like Raleigh and Wake County in general has a very large school system.
Yeah.
And it's great. It can be a little bit complex at times, which I'd probably
complex.
throw into that dislike system. But there's a lot of school choice in the Triangle, which is great for some people, but it also makes things really complicated as far as like applying to charter schools, which are still free. They're just not in a district, and it's a lottery system. So, you know, things can be a little confusing, but having a lot of choices available to you is really good, especially for families that have maybe just differing needs for their kids that don't kind of fit into that like typical category. It could be really nice. Raleigh in general has a ton of green space. So just so many parks, so many greenway trails. Durham County, Wake County, Orange County. There's just a lot to do all throughout, which is really fun. With kids, we love taking our kids to the Marbles Museum in downtown Raleigh and the Museum of Life and Science in Durham, but then also just your everyday, just go walk on a trail. Like there's so much access to stuff like that. No matter what part you live in, we said everything feels far out, but you're not gonna have to drive that far to find nature or you know, something fun to do with your kids, and it just feels like a quiet and peaceful place to raise a family.
Exactly, yeah. Parks, trails, lakes. I mean, it's just an abundance here of what you can do with your kids or your family. And so, yeah, it makes a really beautiful place to raise a family.
For sure. All right, so the next thing we love about Raleigh is the diversity here. And that goes into so many different categories. But I feel like some major cities, you know, you have a lot of like urban living, or you go out and other places and it's like all farmland. But Raleigh and the Triangle in general just has really housing styles for everybody. You could go and have a horse farm around here, or you could have a condo downtown. You know, there's just a lot of opportunities. And then in addition to that, with the Triangle being so big, we have so many cities that really have their own culture, own identity. And so it brings in a lot of different people that are attracted to, you know, the values of that town. So I feel like it makes it a really diverse area, and there really is somewhere for everyone in the Triangle. Yeah,
exactly. So kind of just further going into that, like when we talk about the diversity of the area, we're really talking about like every town is different in the Triangle. And so if you know, Raleigh's different than Durham and Chapel Hill and Cary. And so they all have their unique feel. And then when it comes to the housing styles, you know, like there's a ton of different, you can get the luxury home in North Raleigh, and you can get a home in the middle of the woods, you can get a home in downtown Raleigh in a condo, or downtown Durham in a condo. And so there's just, there's a lot of different options here that not every area affords. You know, you go to some major cities and it's kind of the same no matter where you end up or what suburb you end up into. But here, every area truly has its own unique feel, which I think makes it for a really cool place for really anyone.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you drive in, once you get into the area, you're going to notice a totally different vibe and culture in Durham than you are in Wake Forest or Apex or Cary. So there really is very distinct feels to each of the towns. They all lump together and make an awesome place to live, but I think it's because of those unique elements that each town kind of brings.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so those are two things that we dislike about Raleigh and two things that we love about Raleigh. So my name is Zach. This is my beautiful wife, Cindy. We are a couple real estate agents in the area. So if you found value in this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And you can also, if you're looking to buy or sell, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. And you can contact us at the contact info below. And you can also find us on Instagram.
Yeah, we'd love to have you follow along with us at the Honeycutt Realtors. And you can also follow along on our more news, restaurant review type account. And that is over at the RDU Buzz. So we'd love to have you follow along both of those spaces.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we will see y'all next time.